welcome to the Young Police channel. Yes, man, and I applaud the constable who had pointed out something to me about my video yesterday. This video is not a continuation of the video yesterday, but it has some connotation to it. So, I said before, they said that Jamaicans have short attention span. When you have short attention span, it is because you are suffering from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is a behavioral disorder that typically begins in childhood and is characterized by a short attention span. Inattention. It's an inability to be calm, stay still, hyperactivity, and have poor impulse control, impulsivity. Jamaican people easily get upset and someone would have said Jamaican people hot-headed, as the least good thing, they resort to violence. But do you know which animal that have the shortest attention span? The goldfish are said to have an attention span of 5 seconds. So they say that the Jamaican people, they have an attention span of maybe 10 minutes, which is true because, if I post a video with an hour with educational stuff in it for, the police officers back in Jamaica and the people, some police will call me and tell me, I need to put the video in three because, 1 hour is too long. So pretty much you have to, cater to your audience if you're trying to help them. But in the same breath, when you have a book, you cannot, dumb down the book. It has to be one book. You understand? It's not a series. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how it is, you know. So the attention span of a goldfish is 5 seconds, which is approximately longer than a visitor to this YouTube channel. Young police officers, there are 8 ways to improve your attention span. And this is the thing what I applaud that police officer from Hunsby. Yes, man, only Hunsby police officer would pick up that. But as they say, you don't want, as they say, you don't want to go to CID, you want to go back to school and you want to migrate and you enjoy listening to the channel, and I'm happy for that. You understand? As Hunsby is the best police station I've ever worked. Yes, I can say that, with so much happiness, Hunsby. Although I came close to losing my life on several occasions, but I love it. So this is what this police officer had pointed out to me. So yesterday, instead of saying meditate, meditation, I said mediate. And the reason why I did that is because I want to find out who is listening and who is not listening. And this police officer, was quick to contact me, you understand, and let me know that, you make a mistake in the video. It's not mediating, it's meditate and meditation. And I told him, I said, yes, that's true. You understand? But don't share my number with other people, you understand what I'm saying? So, one, meditate. So, we are making a correction from yesterday. Meditate. Meditation is one of the best ways to improve your focus, as it is a mental training of your attention. Two, exercise. Walk for 30 minutes or more. You understand what I'm saying? I know Jamaica is a dangerous place, but if you walk with a gun, you understand what I'm saying, and be aware of your surroundings. Stay hydrated, drink plenty of water. Don't watch how much time you go into the bathroom as a man or a woman, because you need to cleanse your system and keep your things, all of your organs them clean. That help prevent you from diabetes and hypertension and whenever you retire, you die quick like most of the police officers. Them. Police officer below the rank of superintendent, after they retire, they don't live past 2 years. Ask questions. There's no stupid questions. You understand? Listen to music, positive music, like some Bob Marley music. Luciana is good. Uh, I am not going to recommend some artists because you understand what I'm saying. yeah, they do some positive music, but their lifestyle is not something to be embraced. So yeah, I'll go with it. Luciana, some Capitan, um, Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, those guys. Yeah, man, drink tea, whether green tea, bush tea, fever grass, even lime leaf tea. Just drink some tea. You understand? And whenever you're taking notes by hand, make sure you make sure you have a notebook and a little thing and you write it down because people are liar, especially some police. You understand? So your time, date, place, name, who is present, and all of those things. You understand? So you keep it and then you sign it. You understand? Chew gum, buy some bubble gum and anything. Boy, Jamaica, we have some of the toughest bubble gum in here. Chew that, your jaw them hurt you. But I may sound harsh to some of you guys, but listen, all I'm doing is trying to build you guys mentally to get better at everything that you're doing. So this is yes, this is my thing to you guys now to let you know that most of you who are young police officers don't know that on November 14, 1987, Hitman came at dawn for a judge named Derrick Hugh and assassinated him. Yes, man, in 1987, November 14, 8 men came at dawn and assassinated a Supreme Court judge, a registrar named Derrick Hugh. I know most of you would be shocked to know that if that they had assassinated a judge in Jamaica. Yes, man, they have. So all those judges like Brian Sykes and all those people, if they think that they're safe, they are not safe. So when they are being lenient to all these criminals down there, they have another guest coming. So, so Judge Hugh, the late Judge Derrick Hughes, but lifeless body, partially nude from the waist down and line, spread eagled on the green grass of his Springfield on sea residence in the wee hours of a beastly November morning, through the legal fraternity in a state of utter numbness and shock. So the reason why they did that, with Derrick Hugh, make sure that he was partially nude from the waist down. It has been said that this man was, he was a flavor, and a lot of rumors went around about him. At the time when he died, I wasn't a police officer. You understand? I was at JPA as a Jamaica Police Academy as a police cadet. You understand? The man who had fallen prey to this ugly murder on November 14 was the acting registrar of the Supreme Court of Jamaica. Just listen, a very powerful man this them killed in Jamaica. The man who had fallen prey to this ugly murder on November 14, 1987, was the acting registrar of the Supreme Court of Jamaica, 47-year-old Derrick Hugh, resident magistrate and a former Crown Counsel in the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Hugh's murder typified callousness. The court heard how he was forced to open his bedroom door near dawn, then dragged unceremoniously outside by one of two masked gunmen who delivered the chilling message that he had been contracted to kill and ordered him to go downstairs to get his passport. Do you know who was the contractor that hired the hitman to kill the judge? Yes, most of you young police officers don't know. But yes, a lot of the senior police officers who are in their late 50s or onward know. So let me just give you a little hint. Yes, he is Renita Adams as well here, Harry Bungles Daily, Derrick Cowboy Knight, Donovan Ox O'Connor, friend too. And I can go on and on and on about this man. The contractor who hired the men is one of Jamaica's most prominent LPPMP LGBTQ plus activists. Let me repeat that. The contractor who hired the hitmen is one of Jamaica's most prominent PMP LGBTQ plus activists, and he has at least 50% of the police hierarchy in his pocket, even today as I am doing this video. Even the great, revered, so-called tough crime fighter, Renita Adams, was in his pocket. Harry Bongos, Daly, Derrick Cowboy and I, Detective Ox O'Connor, and others were in his pocket. The court later heard that when Hugh reportedly begged the gunman to allow him to put on his underwear, the spine-chilling response was, "Come on, man, where you are going, you don't need any clothes." As the graphic detail of the murder unfolded, the court also heard that after receiving two gunshots and in the throes of death, Hugh hurled himself from the first floor through a closed louver window, shattering the glass and ending up on top of a vehicle parked under the window before hitting the ground. The man accused of Hugh's murder was Trevor Bennett O.C. Bulgin, a laborer from East Kingston, a brigadista, a man who went to South America and Central America to fight for the socialist parties there during the 1980s, who appeared before Justice Ellis, now deceased, and a juror in the Circuit Court Division of the Gun Court in Kingston. The trial lasted 3 days. The murder had led the morning news, bringing several members of the legal fraternity to the crime scene. Most expressed shock and dismay. This was 1987, you know. Early on the scene was Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Sam McCain, and other investigators. Sam McCain is the father of Jason McCain, who is a no-nonsense police officer in Portmore, St. Catherine. You, well known as a hard worker and a man who would like to deal with matters with dispatch. He doesn't procrastinate. He, he took over as acting registrar of the Supreme Court when there was a large backlog of cases. So now you see who is responsible for making the court move fast with case in Jamaica. It's the registrar, not the judges, you know. So the registrar is the one that goes through the things and, assign them to the judges. So that was his job. You understand? He was known for taking home files for review to get things done faster. And guess what? It was his colleagues that knew this, people who work with the late Derrick Hugh knew this. Because the gunmen they would not know that. He was known for taking home files for review to get things done. This man was a patriot, a Jamaican patriot, a man who believed in law and order and justice. Speculation was rife that he had opened Pandora's box in one case that had led to his demise. Yes, and the word demise is a word that is used, even to me too, by people that I thought were my friend or friends. He had the file of a popular, I am not going to mention that, businessman who has many police officers as friends and as connections. The information was leaked to the businessman and it was on for Derrick Hugh's life. At first they wanted to kill him in a manner to make it look like it was his lover, as it was rumored that he was shaky, meaning that the judge was a gay man. I don't care about that, but that's what they wanted and not a straight man. He was not a heterosexual man. I don't know the man or anything about his lifestyle, so I'm just telling you as what was said. And even before the gunmen came calling, Hugh was reportedly in high spirit, and staff recall that he left office wearing his customary beaming smile. No one could have known that it would be the last time they would see him alive, and that is so sad. The house at Springfield on Sea, a faint but distinctive relic of, of old East Kingston, was a two-story structure facing the seaside. You occupied the upper floor, while his mother and sister occupied the ground floor. A balcony on the upper floor overlooked the blue Caribbean Sea, and one could sit and enjoy the sea breeze and sheer tranquility of the moment from that lofty perch. The circuit court heard evidence from David Wilby, a visitor who had arrived in the island the day of Hugh's murder and who had been asleep in a room upstairs adjoining Hugh's and had been awakened around 3 a.m. by two masked gunmen in his room. One had a gun at his back and the other had it at his ears. The two gunmen flipped over on the bed. Then one of them remarked, "No, man, this is the wrong man." They pulled him off the bed and marched him to Hugh's room, where Hugh was persuaded to open the door. Wilby and Hugh were ordered to lie on the floor, and Bennett left to guard him. According to Wilby, the other gunman left and returned shortly after. Mrs. Hughes, the deceased mother, she was crying and begging them not to hurt her son, and she fell to the floor. Bennett threatened to shoot Mrs. Hughes if she did not keep quiet, to which the other gunman replied, "All right, man, we get paid for kill him already." So he's telling the other gunman, "We not get paid for kill her, so don't kill her." The other gunman I tell Bulging, "Don't kill her, cause we not get paid for kill she." This man then left the room with you. Wilby told the judge and jury he noticed that Bennett then began searching the drawers in the room, looking for money and jewelry. During this process, the witness observed that the mask kept slipping from his face, thus enabling the witness to get a good look at his face. Suddenly, gunshot rang out from downstairs. Bennett, he said, jumped over him and Mrs. Hugh and fled the scene. He later pointed out Bennett at an identification parade as one of the two masked men who entered Hugh's home that morning. The forensic pathologist Dr. Royston Clifford, who performed the post-mortem examination on Hugh's body, testified that upon investigation, he found an entrance gunshot wound behind the right ear, which went almost vertically downward inside to the right lung. So the point the gun at his ears, so the bullet more hit the spine and go vertically downwards inside the right lung. He found a second gunshot wound to the left clavicle at the level of the left collarbone, which traveled through the chest cavity, left lungs, the ascending artery through the right lung, and lodged in the muscle of the lower right lateral chest. In his opinion, the witness told the court that death was due to gunshot wounds. The police fingerprint experts testified that they found prints and some glass louver blades removed from an upstairs window of the house resting on the roof. These fingerprints on the louver blade match those of Trevor Bennett, O.C. Bulgin. On December 21st, 1987, Detective Sergeant Oswald Hare told the court he saw Bennett at Flying Squad CIB headquarters in Kingston. He had known him for 9 years, and Bennett indicated to him he wanted to tell him something. How many times did Detective Sergeant Hare saw Bennett at the businessman place before he saw him at Flying Squad CIB headquarters, Kingston. That's the question that no one answered to this date. Detective Sergeant here took Bennett to the officers in charge of the investigation, Superintendent Donald Brown, who's a retired assistant commissioner of police. And if you remember, a few years ago, he was investigating um, a case involving senior police officers who were involved in drug dealing in Portland, cocaine, and he was shot. Yeah, Assistant Commissioner of Police Donald Brown was shot, and they took away his 45. They did not kill him. They just shot him and more or less they warned him to back off. And then later he retired from the force and went to work at another government place. Assistant Commissioner of Police, good investigator. They ambushed gunmen, ambushed him, shot him, and took away his gun. So they just shot him to let and warn him, to let him know that be careful, you back up the wrong tree, we dust you out. So he just backed off, and that was, nothing came of that shooting. You understand? And that firearm has never been recovered. And in the presence of senior superintendent Isadora Dick Ebert, you know, real crime fighter, honest police officer. He was a man who was in the army, and he came over from in the 70s because he wanted to do something to fight crime in Jamaica. And they had recorded a statement from Bennett. The defense, represented by Terence Ballantyne and Paul Beswick, objected to the statement being admitted in evidence. After voir dire proceeding and an in-camera trial, the judge ruled the statement admissible. And the reason why the defense came up with that, they said that Bennett was tortured, he was beaten by the police, and so they want to say his caution statement that he had given was given on a chorus, but that's how it is in Jamaica. So it was tendered in evidence by Miss Paula Llewellyn Queasy. She is now the Director of Public Prosecution who marshaled the Crown's case. In the statement, Bennett related how he walked in a gully at about 2 a.m. on November 14, 1987, when he saw one Loki and told him he had no money. Loki told him he knew where they could go and get some, and he decided to go. Loki had a gun and told him he was going to a house at the beach where some foreigners stay. He walked with Loki to the house, to the premises. And that part, is a lie, where they say that. You understand what I'm saying? That part where they say that he walked with Loki to the premises. Remember, they're coming from, in case you do not know, they're coming from McGregor Gully or Burger Gully in East Kingston. And they're going to Harborview and they say they walk. The fact is that they did not walk. You understand what I'm saying? He was protecting a policeman. It's a policeman who drove the car with them, to this premises. A policeman who was in East Kingston. And his job, but I'll get into it. Luke went onto the roof and Bennett, removed some lover blades. And they both entered the building. You have to understand that. Bennett was a man that trained in Cuba, Bulging is a man who trained, he's a brigadista. He was one of Michael Manley, unpicked youth, bright guy, very intelligent guy, Bennett. This guy have many subjects. Didn't have to resort to crime, but he believed in the socialist agenda and he did not want to work. This is how he wants to live. You understand? In a statement, he did not admit having had a gun, but he agreed in the main with Wilby's statement as to what transpired in the house. So although they say that he's the one that killed Derrick Hugh, he's saying that he didn't have no gun. That's how criminal operate. You understand? And what transpired inside the house. A particular PMP LGBTQ plus police officer stationed at East Kingston division at the time took Trevor Bennett, O.C. Bulgin, Loki, and the other man to the location and residence of Mr. Derrick. What happened is that the police officer who was supposed to kill the men after they killed the judge was to kill the killers. The police officer fall, fell asleep in the waiting position with an M16 rifle. Thus, the men, when leaving the house, had to find their way back to Berger slash McGregor Gully. When the police officer woke up, it was getting close to sunrise, and he went to Berger Gully, where he took Loki to jungle, Arnett Garden, Kingston 12, to cool out and know where he was hiding. Men like Mello from Concrete Jungle, Winston, they play an integral role in hiding Loki. As a result of the information gleaned from the same police officer, a team of flying squad detectives was dispatched by Senior Superintendent Dick Hibbert to Arnett Garden to capture the named suspect, Loki Campbell. It was believed Campbell could supply much needed information about the person or persons who contracted the gunmen to murder you. Hibbert later told the court that Campbell was killed in a confrontation with the police. How convenient that the police killed Loki that day. Was it to protect the real killer? Trevor Bennett, O.C. Bulgin, used to live along Juna Lane, Jonestown, Kingston 12 as a young man in the 1970s with his two brothers, two younger brother, mother, and stepfather. Hugh's sister recounted for the court how, after she heard a commotion in the house early that fateful morning, she opened her bedroom door and saw a gunman holding her brother by his neck. She started to shout and the gunman fired at her and the shot caught her on both arms. Her brother was shot by the gunman and jumped through a window, shattering the louver glass. He landed on a van parked under the window, then fell beside the van, dead. The gunman escaped. In his defense, Bennett repeated a lot of what he had said in the statement given to the police. He added that he had been set up, criminals, because he had screeched inform. So you see the biggest bad man, them are informer, and some of his colleagues to the police officers in a previous robbery. So because he wanted to get away from his crime, he, as usual, he tell the police about some of my friend them were involved in a robbery. He lost his job and had no money for his baby food due to his being held by the police at that time. Those same men, he told the court, had threatened to kill him in the gully, but they afterward decided Bennett should accompany them on Hugh robbery. He got inside the house and woke up Wilby, who was visiting. This is how Bennett described the events leading to Hugh's tragic and untimely death. E. Lukey asked the man who else was there, and he said that another man was in the other room. But in this house, sir, what I saw was not likely to be no robbery. What I saw in the place did not look like a robbery. If it were a robbery, I would not know what they were going for. The approach to me was that it was a robbery, but did not think it was. But when I see some books on the law of Jamaica, that is the time I get to realize that it's maybe someone from the council or bar or a lawyer or someone living there. So this is a man, who's an experienced criminal, Trevor Bennett, Bulgin. And he's saying that based on what he has seen, the books them, he know that this person, because he has been convicted already, for various crimes. So he knows that the books that he's seen, these are law books. You understand? So that's based on his experience, so you know that this is someone who wants to do with the law. He then took the man into the room Mr. Hugh was and began asking for a book. Show me your passport. He was asking him for his book. It must be a passport. I was wondering what was going on at this time. An old lady came upstairs afterward and asked, "What have my son done?" And Lucas said to her, "Your son for dead." He then put the old lady to sit down, and she was saying, "Lord have mercy upon us," and things like that. He told her to stop making that loud noise, and she said, "What has he done? What has he done?" "He has done nothing," he replied to her. Loki said, "We get paid for kill him, and him a go dead." Bennett, in his detailed and sworn statement, said he had nothing to do with Hugh's death, but the jury found otherwise and judged him guilty as charged. An appeal was lodged with the local court of appeal. The appellant was represented by Delroy Chuck, listening police, and Judge Brian Sykes, listening. We know that every lawyer is supposed to defend people who are arrested and charged for certain crime. But look, this is the only lawyer they could find in Jamaica to represent Trevor Bennett. An appeal was lodged with the local court of appeal. The appellant was represented by Delroy Chuck, none other than the cop killer lover and Minister of Justice 2021, who filed an argue on one main ground of appeal, that the learning trial judge failed to impress upon the jury that if, after a review of all evidence, they are left in reasonable doubt as to the guilt of the accused, then they must acquit. In particular, the burden and standard of proof have not been properly explained and presented to the jury. The court held, inter alia, among other things, that the trial judge's direction emphasized to the jury the Crown's duty to satisfy them so that they feel sure that the accused has no such burden. If they disbelieve or were in doubt, the court could not convict is in our view adequate. The Court of Appeal noted that in their view, the case for the appellant was defendant because he was not a part of the common design and had no intention to kill. So you see, this is what Delroy Chuck is saying. The CM Delroy Chuck, who is Minister of Justice, the man who love cop killers, and see now, this is a man who love judged killers. You understand? Although the man, witnesses have given statement that this is the man who killed Derrick Hugh. He's saying that this man did not kill Derrick Hugh, and there was no he was not a part of the command design to go there and kill Derrick Hugh. He said the companion had a gun. The Crown case was that both had gun. So what they're doing, he's lying now on the man that's dead, that he's the one who had the gun and Bennett did not have any gun. Although the witnesses said that they both of them have gun. You understand? The other man was outside. The judgment continues. Since no ground of appeal was filed relating to common design, the court nevertheless inquired of Mr. Chuck if he had any submission to make in that regard. He indicated that he had given such a ground of appeal some consideration, but he had told him that the Crown's case was overwhelming, as the applicant had put himself on the scene, and in the circumstances, any such submission would be a waste of time. As a result, the court concluded that in his case, the applicant, Bennett, was aware and or ought to have been that the plan was not a robbery but murder. Despite this, he remained on guard and did not attempt to leave or remove himself from the scene before the commission of the murder. So you see how criminal state. He went there now along with Luke and another man. When I talk, and the policeman, he was outside in the vehicle and more or less must have drunk or something and him fall asleep. So yeah, and the court is saying, in our judgment, he was in this case a part of common design, which was to execute Mr. Hugh, the judge. For these reasons, the application for leave to appeal is refused. The Court of Appeal judge rule. So you may be asking yourself what passport that the hitman wanted from the judge. It was a book It was a book that had the names of suspected criminals in Jamaica, and one of them is a notorious PNP LGBTQ plus businessman from Kingston, and I'm not going to tell you where, who has some of the most popular police officers and politicians in his pocket because of money. When Derrick Hugh died, the case died with him, and some of the most esteemed detectives in Jamaica are close, confidant, and friends with this businessman. So you have to be careful. And if you're a police officer and you know certain things, you have to be careful who you tell about this businessman. He's still operating down there. Just took is one of the men that you're seeing. You understand? On the YouTube channel right now. When I was working at Unspear Police Station, Kingston 11, I was one of the detectives who have never rubbed shoulder with this businessman because I had known about his deeds and connection in the criminal underworld. Even at one time, the same businessman and a high-ranking police officer who was his friend wanted to kill a detective inspector at Kingston East Division. And your great politician Philip Palwell is a member of parliament for the era where these parasites operate. The businessman was never arrested and charged with any crime relating regarding the judge death. And the reason why, guess what? The investigating officer, Detective Sergeant here, was the businessman friend. The same businessman later on in the 90s, when I was a police officer, lost his license firearm. And it was at the time here now was the inspector, and here gave the same man his license firearm to protect himself. So you see how crime intertwined in Jamaica, and here end up become a deputy superintendent of police. Now, as a constable, I knew about this man before I joined the police force, and this man can never ever say that we have even exchanged words. On several occasions in the onset when Ox came to St. Andrews, so at one time, one Friday, he wanted us. He was leaving our police here when we were working myself, and I asked him where he was going, and he mentioned the man name, and I told him, said no, I never ever want to talk to that man or be in his company. And he asked me why. I said that there's no reason for you to know, and that's it. I don't want nothing to do with him because he's a criminal. You understand? And he was saying, well, he's my friend. I say, he's your friend, not my friend. So I tell him to take me back to the Hunts Bay, and he took me and Bobby, and then he went his merry way. You understand? Still, the businessman, he was later arrested and charged with fraud, convicted and acquitted by the appeal court because Jamaica is a PMP LGBTQ country before the great St. Andrew Holiness become Prime Minister. The businessman, a PMP activist, on April 28th in the Corporate Area Magistrate Court, all charges against him and six others personal for alleging defrauding the National Housing Development Corporation of $451 million Jamaican dollars were dropped. So after even killing the judge, this man went on to get lots of government contract, and he was convicted in one of the cases, and the next case they dropped it 451 million Jamaican dollar. He defrauded the taxpayers in Jamaica. It was the taxpayers' money that he had stolen, and the court freed him in Jamaica because he is a PMP LGBTQ plus activist and party member. They are immune from the laws in Jamaica, and it was the same thing with Karen Spencer's case. He walks free after two current witnesses failed to show, bringing the curtains down to the trial that began in October 2005. However, he was charged with 87 counts of fraud 2 years earlier. seems to revel the court in appearance. His flamboyant outfits were complemented by flashy SUVs and the presence of his girlfriend, dancehall queen Carlene Smith. Yes, man. So, being man, baby mother, Carlene Smith, dancehall queen. So she was rubbing shoulder, she was sleeping with the man who had killed, responsible for killing a judge in Jamaica. And this man, he has a license firearm and he has a militia, criminal gang outfit in East Kingston. Whether or not you want to believe it, he has more influence over a member of the police force than any other person in Jamaica because of money. And police officers can't be trusted with information about this man and others like him. There was a detective who wanted to be killed and he was transferred from East Kingston to St. Andrew South. So there was a detective inspector who was at East Kingston, but he and this businessman is friendly now, and Philip Palmer, because police there, they are not afraid enough to tell you who they are aligned to. They would tell you that they are PMP for life and this and that. I am not going to detail where this policeman is from, and I'm not going to say that he's from Jonestown as where I'm from. But he was at South when I was there. So he was transferred from East Kingston to St. Andrew South, and they sent him straight to Olympic Garden because he was sent there. It had to his transfer had to do with Philip Palwell and Donna Will. Oh, you understand? And they sent him to St. Andrew South to be killed. You understand? He was shot in his head by another detective, as it was an hit, and the police. And I don't know why they put the hit on him, but if at the time I was a street police, on the street, so I know all kind of criminal. If at the time when I know this man from he was at Flying Squad, if I, as a detective, had went to him and told him that they were going to kill him or try to kill him, he would go back and call my name, because the people that chat him, is his friends. All of these people are people that he look up to, I could not do that because he would go back and tell them. You understand? And these people, although they are police, they are some dangerous police officers. You understand? Not that I'm afraid of them, because they contribute to me exit the police force after 17 years, 3 months, and 3 years. But the reason why they haven't came at me as they shot him in his head, I am totally different from him. You understand? Because they know, if they shoot me, they know, they make sure they have to take the breath have to leave my body, because they know the response that they would get from me. You understand? The reason why they did not finish the detective was that the people at White Wing Kingston Lane started to shout that the police had shot the police officer, and they were going to blame the men from their community, and there was no one shooting at the police. None. So when they shoot the policeman in the car, the same police that came out and pretend like it was in a shootout. You understand? At the time, Pulpy was alive, and Pulpy and the people them were like, "What's going on?" And but all of his friends, were there, that he used to work with that flying squad. But the police that shot him, that policeman dead a few years ago. But that's how to show you how it is, when you're a police. I don't know why they wanted to kill him, because he thought that he and these people were friends. But he must remember that you cannot tame a pit bull. These people, they have killed a judge. You understand what I'm saying? A judge. And people were in prison for killing the judge. And you think that because of money, or because you think that you're a PMP for life, that these people would spare you if they see that you're an hindrance to whatever they're doing. And that's how he got transferred from Rockfort in a street to Olympic Gardens police station. You understand? You understand? I knew myself, and I'm not gonna call the other police officer name, because you understand what I'm saying. But I knew that they were going to kill him. I could not tell him, because he had more faith in those people than if I. Because as to me, they would say, "Boy, am I one porter informer and him thing there." I could not tell him, because the police officers who were supposed to kill him were his friends. Maybe he's friends with even those people right now. I don't even know. You understand? And I think maybe when he really knew was sometime this year. And you understand? But the word was on the street that he was sent there to be killed. To Huntsbeer from Rockford. Thanks for watching the Jamaica Young Police channel, where you will get nothing but facts about events that happen in Jamaica. You understand? Where the attack on the police, and yet still this same man, who was responsible for the death of Derrick Hugh. This man have a license firearm. He has a license. He is an holder of a firearm license, and he has several guns at his home. And he has a militia gang in East Kingston that have several rifles and all kind of guns. And he has a license firearm. But yet still, we haven't seen the government, because he's a big shot, Yeah, he's a judge killer. But yet still, who the government is going after? This government, the JLP LGBTQ plus government, they're going after police officers who have never killed any judge or were contract to kill any judge or went on in the contract. But it's police officers that they are targeting. You understand? Police officer they are targeting. And this man, who should not even have a license to walk with a knife, he has a license gun in Jamaica. But yet still, it's the police that this government, is attacking. Remember, that this man had sent three. The reason why Bennett went to prison, is because the police officer who was stationed in East Kingston, he fell asleep in the car. He's the one that took Luke to the jungle, You have men from um, Scarface Pathway in Arnett Garden, Miller, Winston, and all those people. They are the one that he took Luke to, and then he went there with police, and then they killed Luke. So ironic, you understand? The man that would spill the bean, but Bennett did not do that because Bennett know that the investigator that he's talking to, Detective Sergeant here, and the man that contracted him and Luke and the other man to kill the judge is the police officer friend. You cannot go inform on the man who hire you when the investigating officer is the man friend. Who's gonna believe him and he's a criminal? You understand what I'm saying? So they have to just fix up something and make it look different. And Bennett just went to prison, do his time, and you understand what I'm saying? And that's one of the main reasons why the PNP never hung anyone when they came into power in 1989. Because this happened in 87 and Bennett was sentenced to death. And that's one of the main reasons, because he was big time Michael Manley, because he was sent to Cuba to train as a brigadista and all kind of thing. And this is a man who has experience in warfare. He fought in the civil wars in South and Central America during the 80s before he killed the judge. So that's why he was the one that led the operation, because he had all the expert, expert training, and he was experienced. You understand? So, most of all, comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. Have yourself a beautiful day and all the best day. And police, just be careful of who you trust there in Jamaica. Peace. Have yourself a nice day.